My hair, it's on fire. Oh, darling, you're just too hot to handle. That's what I heard, loud enough for everyone to turn and stare. This is gold, pure gold. That's how it started, me thinking I'd just be in and out, another day, another haircut, and instead I got a front row seat to what real arrogance looks like. They thought I was just some poor woman who'd wandered into their shiny luxury salon. By mistake. They mocked me, burned my hair, even scarred my neck. And you know what really gets me? Nobody said a word. Everyone just sat there, pretending not to notice. What they didn't know, my husband owns half the city, and he was on his way. You ever have a moment when someone treats you like you don't belong, just because you don't dress or act the way they expect? Yeah, that happened. If you've ever felt small, just wait, because this story is for you. Let me back up a sec, because I can still hear those marble heels clicking across the tile when I first walked in that morning. This salon, it was something out of a movie, floor-to-ceiling glass, chandeliers dripping gold, that weird mix of jasmine and hairspray. I didn't look like their usual crowd. I had on my favorite cream blouse, pearl earrings, a skirt I'd found on sale last spring, no designer logos, no bling, just me. And man, did they clock that fast. The receptionist took one look at me, forced a smile, and asked, "Can I help you, ma'am?" Like she was waiting for me to get lost. All I wanted was a trim, something a little elegant, nothing wild. She hesitated, glancing over at 3 women by the window, regulars, clearly. These ladies? Hair done to perfection, nails that could slice glass, perfume that made your head spin. Their laughter filled the place before I'd even sat down. And I could feel their eyes tearing through me. "Oh dear," one of them said, just loud enough. "Looks like someone wandered in from the budget salon down the street." The others snorted. I kept my mouth shut, smiled, tried to look unbothered, but I could feel my cheeks going hot. The stylist, nervous as a rabbit, walked me over to a chair. "We'll take care of you," she said. But even she sounded like she wasn't sure. And the comments kept coming. "Did you see her shoes? Maybe she walked here. Maybe she's looking for a rich husband." I tried to focus on my reflection, on my hands in my lap, just breathing slow. The stylist started snipping, and the women got bolder. One of them actually stood up, walked over, and said, "Oh, honey, let me help you." I used to do this. All the time. Before I could answer, she grabbed a curling iron. I thought it was a joke, so I gave this weak smile, but then I felt the burn, sharp and sudden, the smell of my own hair frying. I jerked back, pain shooting up my scalp, and she just laughed. "Guess your cheap hair couldn't handle luxury heat." Her friends howled. One of them pressed the hot iron to my neck, just for a second, but it was enough. The pain lit me up, and I actually cried out. That's when the whole place went silent. Not a soul moved. Nobody tried to stop them. I looked around, tears in my eyes, hoping for someone, anyone, to help. But all the staff looked away, and the other customers just kept scrolling on their phones. I wrapped my scarf around my neck, stood up with my hair broken and my pride in pieces, and bolted for the door. My reflection in the glass was a stranger, red skin, uneven hair, humiliation burning brighter than any curling iron. Their laughter chased me outside. I wanted to scream, to tell the world what happened, but my voice was just a whisper when I called my husband. They burned me. I managed, and he just said, "Stay there. Don't move." Something in his voice, calm, controlled, but with this edge I'd never heard before, told me things were about to change. So I sat, shaking on a bench outside, while the city kept moving like nothing happened. Minutes later, I heard it. That low, powerful hum of engines. 3 black SUVs pulled up in a line, and suddenly the sidewalk felt like a movie set. Security guys in charcoal suits got out. First, all business, then my husband, Nathaniel Cross, stepped out. He looked like he owned the street, which, technically, he almost did. His suit, his presence, everything about him said, "Don't mess with this man." He spotted me instantly, took off his jacket and wrapped it around my shoulders, gentle but with a fury in his eyes that could freeze steel. "Who did this?" he asked, and I pointed, barely able to get the words out. Nathaniel didn't waste a second. "Lock the doors," he told his men, and just like that, they moved. The whole salon went from glitzy playground to a silent, locked room. He walked in, didn't even acknowledge the frantic owner, just stared at the hair on the floor, the chair where I'd been humiliated. You burned my wife, he said, his voice low but loud. Enough for everyone to feel it. You thought she didn't belong? You were right. She belongs to me. The manager stammered, trying to explain, but he cut her off with a look. You watched. You did nothing. That's all I need to know. Outside, I watched through the glass as those three women shrank under his gaze. The ringleader tried to act tough, but Nathaniel just stared her down. You burned her hair, scarred her skin, and called it a joke? His words hit like thunder, but he never raised his voice. Then, in front of everyone, he revealed that he'd just bought the salon. Outright, majority shares, paperwork ready, signatures dry. This place is closed, effective immediately, he said. As for you three, you're banned for life. Try to come back, and the police will be waiting. Their faces crumbled. Apologies, excuses, begging, it all fell flat. He took my hand and led me outside, but not before I turned back and said, You laughed when I cried. You thought kindness was weakness. But I'm not here to punish you. Life will handle that. I hope you remember what it feels like to be treated as less than human. As we walked away, the salon lights went out, one by one, and the night air finally felt clean. In the car, Nathaniel brushed a piece of burnt hair from my face. You didn't deserve any of this, he whispered. I just nodded, feeling free in a way I hadn't since before I walked in that salon. It wasn't revenge. It was release. The next day, the story exploded. News crews, headlines, people whispering my name. But what mattered wasn't the gossip or the apologies. It was what I did next. Nathaniel took me to a new space, a small, bright studio I'd dreamed of owning. The Phoenix Studio. My place. I built it for women who'd been made to feel small, for anyone who needed to remember their worth. We taught, we laughed, we cried, and together we healed. Those scars, they turned into something beautiful. A few weeks later, at a charity gala, I saw those same women again, standing at the edge of the crowd, looking lost, reputations in tatters. One tried to apologize, but all I did was nod. Not forgiveness, not hatred, just closure. When I spoke that night, I told everyone. They burned my hair to humiliate me, but the fire didn't destroy me. It refined me. Cameras flashed, and for the first time, I wasn't hiding. I was proud. Nathaniel squeezed my hand as we left. They once laughed at you, he murmured. Now they'll learn from you. I just smiled. No, they'll remember me. And that's all I wanted. Not revenge, but peace. Because sometimes, the fire isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal who you really are. If you felt this story, hit like, share it with someone who needs to. Know their worth, and drop a comment. Does kindness win? Or is silence really the sharpest form of revenge? Let's hear your story. You know, there's a strange kind of silence that comes after the storm. Almost like the world's holding its breath, waiting to see what you'll do next. For me, it was the mornings that felt the strangest, when I'd wake up and catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror, my hair still uneven, that faint scar near my collarbone just beginning to fade. Sometimes I'd reach up and touch it, half expecting the pain to come rushing back, but it never did. Just a quiet reminder, a line in my story that would never fully disappear. But scars don't just mark the skin, they change something deeper. That's the part nobody tells you about, how you keep reliving the worst moments, especially when the world won't let you forget. Headlines flashed across my phone for weeks. CEO's wife strikes back. Luxury salon scandal rocks high society. From victim to victor, Aurora Cross rewrites the rules. My friends reached out. Some said I was brave. Some told me I was foolish to go public. And the apologies? They poured in, flowers, letters. Even tearful phone calls from women who'd once treated me like wallpaper, suddenly desperate to be on the right side of the story. But you know what stuck with me? It wasn't their words. It was the way strangers started coming up to me at the grocery store, at the coffee shop, sometimes on the street. Older women, young girls, even a few men, stopping to tell me about their own scars, their own moments when the world had decided they didn't belong. One lady pressed a note into my hand, her eyes shining. Thank you for not being silent, it said. I kept that one tucked inside my wallet. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Studio became more than a business. It became a sort of refuge, almost like a second home for people who needed a place to start over. Sometimes, after a long day, I'd linger by the window, watching the sun set over the city, listening to the soft chatter and laughter echoing through the halls. There was this energy, a sense of rebuilding, not just hair or confidence, but something even bigger, something no one could steal again. And let me tell you, running that place was nothing like those glossy magazine covers would have you believe. There were days when the bills stacked up, when the roof leaked during a thunderstorm, or when the hot water ran out halfway through a class, and we all just had to laugh and carry on. But those were the moments that felt the most real, when everyone rolled up their sleeves, fixed what they could, and then shared a meal afterward, tired but proud. It was a different kind of wealth. You know? The kind you don't see coming. Funny thing, sometimes I get letters from the 3 women who started it all. Most went straight into a drawer, unopened. But one, from the ringleader, caught my eye. She wrote, "I see you everywhere now, and I can't escape what we did. I'm sorry. I can't say I forgave her, not really, but I did feel a flicker of pity. It's a lonely thing, being remembered only for your worst moment. But the world keeps moving." A few months later, the city threw a gala to honor local women who'd made a difference, and, wouldn't you know it, I was invited to speak. I nearly said no, but Nathaniel just smiled and said, "You don't owe them a speech, but you do owe yourself the chance to stand tall." So I went. When I took the stage, I saw some of the same faces that once sneered at me in that salon. But I also saw dozens of new faces, hopeful, nervous, searching for a reason to believe they belonged, too. I told them the truth. I said, "You don't have to be rich or famous to matter. You don't have to look the part. Your worth isn't measured in jewelry or logos or the price tag on your bag. It's in how you treat people when nobody's watching, and how you rise, even after you've been burned." And as I spoke, I saw heads nodding, tears wiped away, hands squeezing each other for courage. It hit me then, my story wasn't just about me anymore. It was a mirror, a lantern in the dark for anyone who needed it. That's the only kind of legacy I ever wanted. Later, as the night wound down, I stepped out onto the balcony for some air. The city lights stretched out before me, humming, endless. Nathaniel joined me, slipping his hand into mine. "Proud of you," he said quietly. "Not for the fight, but for what you built." Afterward, I leaned into him, grateful, content. "It's not about revenge anymore," I told him. "It's about making sure no one else ever feels that small again." Life went on. The Phoenix studio grew, filled with new faces, new stories, new beginnings. Some days, old insecurities tried to creep back in, but every time I looked at those women, at what we'd built together, I remembered how far I'd come. And every so often, when I'd see my own reflection in a shop window or in the studio's glass doors, I'd touch that old scar and smile. It didn't hurt anymore. It just reminded me, no matter how hot the fire, it couldn't burn away my worth. So here's what I want you to take from all this. No one gets to decide your value but you. Not a stranger, not a bully in expensive shoes, not even the voice inside your head when it's at its harshest. You are more than what's been done to you. And when the world tries to silence you, speak anyway, even if your voice shakes. Especially then. If you made it to the end, let me know in the comments. Have you ever turned a painful moment into your own kind of power? Do you believe kindness really wins? Or is it just wishful thinking in a tough world? I want to hear your story, because this, right here, right now, is where the healing starts. And maybe, just maybe, where something even better is born from the ashes.